Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Digital Thinkers HxGN Hacks series. My name is Rebecca Schofstall, and I will be facilitating this week's session. I'm happy to have you join. Just a heads up, feel free to unmute yourself or submit any questions in the chat as we work through today's content. If you're new to HxGN Hacks, I just wanted to provide a quick introduction in terms of what to expect each week. So we are hosting HxGN Hacks each Wednesday throughout the end of the year. And these are just quick 15-minute sessions designed to sharpen your HxGN EAM skills. We have a rotation, so you may be hearing from me one week, you may be hearing from another consultant the next week. Really, it's an opportunity to share tips or explore features that you may not be familiar with and answer any questions. So, also, if you have any content ideas, feel free to pass those along to us. During the month of September, we've been focusing on materials and inventory. Next month, we'll focus on maintenance mastery before transitioning into system administration hacks for the month of November. And then we will wrap up the year with mobile and field productivity. So the registration link that you're using today can be used for any and all of the sessions. So I'm excited to share with you today inventory kitting. So this may be something that you've heard of but haven't put into practice. So I wanted to take an opportunity to provide a quick overview during our time together and hopefully get you thinking about areas within your maintenance and operations where you could utilize inventory kitting. So the first question is, what is inventory kitting in HxGN EAM? So simply it's a kit of a set of parts that are bundled together, and it could be for a specific job, maybe a specific equipment type, or even a task. And essentially what this allows for is the entire kit or group of materials can be issued at once. So they're kind of pre-packaged, put together, and essentially you can issue the entire kit rather than the parts individually. So ultimately, this just saves time by providing all of those parts, pre-packaged for a job. So thinking about some areas so where you could implement inventory kitting. So it could be, job kits that are required for a preventive maintenance or corrective work order that are picked and staged together. You could also think about bundling your low cost consumables into kits and issuing them, say, to an employee to use throughout the week or the month. And you can also stage kits for, say, shutdown or turnaround projects where you have a large volume of parts that must be organized and essentially issued to those work orders. So keep those ideas in mind as I walk through a demonstration of how to use inventory kitting in HxGN EAM. So the first thing I'm going to do is just navigate to the parts screen. And I've already created a kit to use for today's HxGN Hacks session. So the first thing to note is this track as kit checkbox. If you don't see that on your screen, it may be something that you need to make available for your user group via Screen Designer. And that's something that a system administrator would be able to make available. And you may also notice track by lot. So if you're tracking by kit, the system is automatically going to select track by lot. And that is showing the lot field here. And when you're working with materials in EAM, making those lot fields available is controlled not only via Screen Designer, but also by that show lot install parameter. So just keep that in mind that in the environment that I'm sharing with you today, we do have show lots turned on. And then also we have the track as kit checkbox visible via Screen Designer. So really what I've done here is I've created a kit or a group of materials to be used when we are replacing a pump seal. So the next thing would be identifying which materials to use in our pump seal replacement kit. So the kit itself does have a part number, so the 10034, but there is a tab available called Kit Template. Okay. So I have it tucked away under the More dropdown, but essentially on the Kit Template tab is where you are going to not only identify the materials to include in the kit, and we can also include track by asset parts if that's something you're utilizing, but I'm also designating the quantity. So do I need one quantity or maybe I need two? I might need a pack of something or 5 gallons of something else. So this is where you're going to list out the contents of the kit. Okay. So essentially, your first step would be to create a new part record and ensuring that it is set up to track as kit. And then what you would do is you would head out to the kit template tab, and that's where you're going to designate the materials to include in the kit. The next step in this process would be to build the kit. So if I hop over to the stock tab for my pump seal replacement kit, we see that I have one kit in stock. Okay. Why don't we go through and build a second kit to be issued, to a work order, to an employee, based on the purpose of that kit. So creating the kit is done from the build kit screen. I do have it added to my screen cache, but you can always navigate from the materials menu under kits and then build kit. So the first thing that you'll do you'll want to designate the store. So I'm going to be building for my central storeroom. And then you'll need to designate the kit part. So essentially this lookup is going to provide a list of all the materials that are tracked as kits. So here is our pump seal replacement kit. Next, I can update the default kit lot description. So we're going to do the year, month, day, and then I'm going to go ahead and replace this with the store code. So basically this kit, whether or not I'm building 1 or 100, they're going to be assigned the same lot. So this is a great way to just keep track of your lots for the kits. And you'll also notice that over here, you can put in an expiration date. This would prevent the kit from being issued if the expiration for that kit was in the past. So maybe there are materials in there that expire or need to be, had looked after and make sure there are no like deterioration or the part composition's not compromised, things along those lines. You can designate an expiration date. And what I'm going to do is just put the bin of where I would like to store my kit and also designate the number of kits to build. The great thing about this screen is the system is going to tell you the max kits available, and that's determined based on the quantities on hand, okay, for the parts that we need to create a kit. So based on that, we could create up to 3 kits. I'm just going to create the 1 kit. And then what we could do is just go to actions and retrieve parts. And just a quick comment here, you could also print a list. So if you needed to go print that off, pull the parts, update the bins, if you needed a paper copy for whatever reason, you would be able to generate that from the actions dropdown. Okay. Now, what we're doing at this point in time is we need to designate essentially where the parts are being pulled from. Okay. So if I'm going to be pulling from, the bin here, I just want to make sure that the information is accurate, right? If there is a default bin for the part, it will auto-populate. But you'll still want to go through, and as you're pulling those materials, you'll want to make sure that you are, updating the part bin. That way we have the correct quantities listed for the bins. And then off to the right, if needed, you would be able to update the issue quantity. Okay. Right now, it's just set up to automatically populate with the quantity required to create the number of kits that I've designated to build. Just also, I want to mention this screen is driven by sessions. So if you need to stop, pause, step away from your desk, no worries. You're not going to lose your progress. You can always save the session, okay, and return to the session, at a later time if you need to. But for today's purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and build the kit. Okay. Our kit was created, so if I head back over to the part screen and do a quick refresh, okay, we see that I now have 1 kit in this bin in the central storeroom. Okay. And essentially the parts that comprise my kit, those quantities are going to be updated to reflect the quantities that I needed to include in the kit that I just created. Now, at this point in time, I just want to be mindful of the time left that we have together today. But from the issue and return parts screen, okay, in my example here, I am just going to issue this to myself. So this would be a great thing. So there is an install parameter, ISSTOEMP. So this would be if you did like prepackaged consumables that you want to issue directly to an employee, you would be able to do so. And I'm just going to go ahead and issue this kit to myself. So here, if I look up the part number for the kit, okay, and then I can designate which bin, and I'm just going to do the one here that I just created. And then as you can see here, this is the lot that I assigned to the kit. And if I go ahead and save this, okay, since I issued it to myself as an employee, if I hop over to my employee record, okay, just a quick mention here, okay, we can see that that kit is currently issued to me. So after this, if there are any materials that need to, if the kit needs to be returned to the storeroom, that is possible. I could come out here to the issue return part screen and return the kit to the default return bin. And then I could always have an opportunity to review like what was used versus issued. And that is done on this breakup kit screen. This would be if you are receiving a kit back into the storeroom, okay, it's sitting in your return bin, and you need to go in and identify, okay, 2 of 4, ABC part was used. So 2 is going to be used, 2 is going to be returned. And essentially, you can take that bundle of materials and break it up, and then that way the excess materials can be reused in a new kit. So I know that was a lot of information to share in a short session, but my hope is that you're able to kind of identify ways that you may be able to use inventory kitting within your organization. I just put in the meeting chat a link to HxGN's documentation on inventory kitting. So if you refer to that in conjunction with today's session, I think that would be a useful tool to get you started. And always, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to the Digital Thinker team. We're happy to guide you through integrating inventory kitting or additional functionality into your current solution. So thank you for joining today's HxGN Hacks session on inventory kitting. If you have any questions, feel free to stick around and I will answer those. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you back next week for another session. Thanks, everyone.